Hello, welcome to week 2 of Learn at Home, and we are going to take a look at trig problems today, so applications of right angle trigonometry. So in this problem we have Carl and he's standing on top of a cliff, and we're talking about a thing called the angle of depression to a river in the canyon below is 28 degrees. If Carl's eyes are 6 feet off the ground and the cliff is 250 feet high, how far away is the river from the base of the cliff? So step 1 to any trig problem is always draw a diagram. A picture is worth 1,000 words, so do it. So here we have a cliff. And then here's Carl standing on the cliff. I am not any kind of artist. Now, it tells us that Carl's eyes are 6 feet off the ground. So here's his eyes right here. This would be 6 feet here. And it tells us that the cliff itself is 250 feet high. And it says that there is this river at an angle of depression of 28 degrees. Well, then the question is, what is an angle of depression? Well, I'm just going to slide down here a little bit. So we've got many word problems in this unit involve angles of elevation and angles of depression. So it's important that we understand what these terms mean. This first diagram here, this is an angle of elevation. So if your eye is here, so there's your eyeball, and that is your line of sight. This is a horizontal. And the angle of elevation, if you were to take your eyes and you were to start looking up instead of looking horizontally, that angle that is formed when you tilt your head or you tilt your eyes, that's called the angle of elevation. So the angle of elevation is from the horizontal up. Now for the next one, for the angle of depression, if we put your eye here, and there is your line of sight, that is again the horizontal. And then if you tilt your eyes or tilt your head and you start looking down, the angle that is formed when you look down, this is called the angle of depression. So depression, going down, so you're looking down from the horizontal, and elevate, to go up, you're looking up from the horizontal. And you'll see that the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are definitely related to each other in a diagram. So let's go back to the original problem. So we have then, Carl is looking down and there's this river. There's some river here. He sees a river. And so he's looking down because it's an angle of depression. So if this is the horizontal, he's looking down at that river. And there is our right angle there. Now, angle of depression, remember, is from the horizontal down. So this is the angle of depression. That's the one that is 28 degrees. However, if we take a look at this diagram, we have a Z pattern here, and this is where the angle of depression and the angle of elevation are related to each other. The angle of depression, which is this one, would have to be equal to the angle of elevation, which is that one, by the Z pattern, which means then we know that that is 28 degrees. So the angle of depression from Carl down to the river is equal to the angle of elevation from the river up to Carl. And this happens all the time. Okay, so now we have a diagram, and this is going to be, this angle here is going to be our reference angle. So we go across, that's the opposite. We go right next to, That's the adjacent. And what we're trying to find here, it says, how far away is the river from the base of the cliff? Well, that's this distance here. Here's the base of the cliff, the bottom of the cliff, and how far away is that river? And let's just call that D for distance, or you can call it L for length, or you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it X if you want. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so now that we've got a diagram, we can now use our trigonometry in order to solve for the unknown distance. So this is opposite, this is adjacent. So according to SOHCAHTOA, opposite and adjacent is tan. So tan of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. Tan of 28 degrees equals opposite, which we know to be 256 feet. It's the entire distance. So you got the 250 feet from the cliff, and then you've got the extra 6 feet for Carl's height. And so that's 256 divided by the adjacent, which we're calling D for distance. Now, if you remember, when we have the unknown that's in the denominator, you're allowed to just interchange these two because of equation solving. Now remember, to get the D out of the denominator, you'd have to multiply both sides by D, which would get the D out of the denominator, but then to isolate D, you would have to divide by the tan of 28 degrees. So divide this by the tan of 28 degrees. So what really just happened is that D equals 256 divided by the tan of 28 degrees. And I'm just going to do that on my calculator. 256 divided by tan of 28. And that is D equals 481.5, and this is going to be feet in this case. So of course, like always, you do a final statement whenever you have a word problem. You would definitely do a final statement. Therefore, the river is 481.5 feet from the base of the cliff. Okay? So, step 1, draw a diagram. Step 2 is create the ratio. Step 3, solve. Step 4, sorry, this looks like a big mess. Step 4 would be make your final statement. Okay? So I'm going to stop this video here, and I will start with the next problem in the next video.